Just Ether TV, and in this episode, we're gonna be talking about the 10 habits that all successful people have and how we can use those habits to live in a peak state and get the results that we really wanna be getting. All right, so let's get started. Habits number 1, 2, and 3 are eat, sleep, and work out. Now guys, when I first started researching these very successful people about a year and a half ago, these were the 3 things. I grouped them together because I found them immediately and I found that they're all doing them and that it's really the base of where everything starts. They're all trying to eat healthy, they're all sleeping about 7 hours a night on average, and they're all working out or having some form of exercise almost every single day. So what this told me is that, okay, these guys are obviously way more busy than me, and they obviously see that the return on investment of eating, sleeping, and working out is so high that they have to do it every day or they will not get the results that they want. And so I thought, all right, if they had the time to do it, I had the time to do it too. And so I started following this. Habit number 4, faith and meditation. This is another thing that all of these successful people had. So just for me, for an example, I'm Catholic, I'm not perfect, but I go to mass once a week and it's really something that helps to keep me focused and sustains me and putting me into this peak state that I need to be in. And so, maybe you're not Catholic, that's okay. Whatever spirituality or faith or some form of meditation that you have, all of these peak athletes had some of that built into their daily and weekly lives. And so it's something that I think is very important to put here that I think we can all put into our lives too to keep ourselves in that peak state and keep going towards those peak results. Habit number 5, self-presentation. So guys, by self-presentation, I mean good grooming habits, good hygiene, presenting yourself in a really sharp way, your clothing. And I think this is a lot like a lot of these habits. It might sound very simple, but just to put it in perspective so we can really feel how important it is to the state we're in and the results we get, I just want to paint an example or picture for you for a moment. So I want you to imagine that you've been eating well, you've been sleeping well, you've been working out, you've been doing your meditation or some form of spirituality, but I want you to imagine that you wake up one morning and you have a big meeting you have to go to, right? And so I want you to imagine that you're running a little bit late, so you didn't get to shower and your hair is a little bit messy and you didn't really get to shave and you didn't get to put on your nice cologne. What do you think you would do in this meeting and what type of state do you think that you'd be in right now? We can kind of feel just by imagining this in our heads that, yeah, that would feel terrible. I would not be ready for this meeting. I would not be in a peak state. And as the reverse, we can imagine that if we get up, we're well-groomed, we shower, our clothes look good, we're presenting ourselves well, we get to the meeting. Just by explaining it that way, we can almost feel that our state is better, that our level of vibrancy and energy and confidence, that we're ready for that meeting. And so self-presentation might sound obvious, might sound silly, but it is really, really impacting our results. And so if we want the peak results and we want to live in that peak state, self-presentation, super important. Habit number 6, clean home, clean car. All right, so this might sound like another simple one, right? And these are all probably things that we know. I'm just trying to highlight things that are really, really important that massively affect the results we get. So just to take an example, I want you to imagine for a moment that you wake up and let's say you've been eating, you've been sleeping, you've been working out, you're gonna take your shower, your grooming is gonna be good. But this time I want you to imagine that in your home, there's clothes and things on the floor and your shoes are kind of all over the place and you have dishes in the sink that you didn't really get to clean yet. Whatever, you leave your home and you go down to the parking garage and you walk up to your car and you see that it kind of has that thick yellow film across it that kind of comes into the air in the springtime. And you see the bugs kind of on your windshield and on the front of the car there that you haven't really had the opportunity to clean off yet. And you drive to your meeting and you get there and it's time for your meeting. So that might also sound silly, but I think that by me explaining that, you can almost feel the discomfort of, yeah, I don't like when my home looks like that, or I don't like when my car looks like that. And this is important, right? Because this means we see it affecting our state. And when our home is beautifully clean, if you could imagine this for a moment, your home looks amazing, your floors are washed, and you go down to your car and it looks incredible. You can see the shine of it, even the rims and the tires look good. You get inside your car, everything is fresh and looks great. You get to your meeting. It's a different thing, right? So this might sound very, very obvious, but I have found that this actually can impact your state a lot. So if you want to keep yourself in a peak state and keep going towards those peak results with all of your focus, then you want to have clean home and clean car. Habit number 7, body language. So this habit might come as a little bit more of a surprise to people, body language. Maybe this is one that doesn't come up in a lot of the habits and success videos that you might have seen so far, but I want to explain to you why this one was picked and what I mean. So I want you to do an exercise with me for a moment, and this is an exercise from Tony Robbins, but it's so great that if you haven't heard it, I want to be able to share it with you. So, and if you're in your car, don't do this because obviously I don't want you to crash and come after me, and I just wouldn't want that to happen to you. But if you're at home cooking and you're just kind of listening to this, just give a couple seconds to do this with me. So I want you to stand up really straight and have your arms at your sides and kind of your shoulders back. And I want you to smile. Obviously I can't smile and hold that and talk at the same time, so work with me a little bit. But I want you to do these things, and I want you to keep smiling, and I want you to be depressed. And you kind of can't do it, right? While holding that pose, there's something about that, it feels very strange, like you're almost not able to. And so to do the flip side, I want you for a moment to kind of put your knees together and bend your body over and droop your shoulders and put your head down. I have to keep talking at the camera, but you put your head down. And I want you to kind of slow your movement, and if you're talking, or just slow everything. And I want you to try to feel really confident. And see, that's really tough to do, right? Because there's something about our physiology that is affecting us. Tony Robbins explains that the fastest way to change our psychology is to change our physiology. And by that, he's basically saying that the fastest way to change how we're thinking and feeling is to change the way that we're moving. And so, like all of these various success things that I read and studied, I wanted to know if they worked, so I would try them. And I found that this massively helped the state that I was in and the results that I'm getting. So how can we use this in our daily lives? How we can use this is to just kind of start to be aware of what our body language is like day to day and moment to moment. So for example, if you kind of find yourself doing this or this or this, or putting your hands in your pockets and kind of bouncing around with your feet close together, there's a lot of things that we do that are negative body language that are making us feel more negative and not in as high confidence state to get those results that we want. So whenever you're noticing that type of body language in yourself, just try to take a moment and stand up straighter. Let your arms be at your sides instead of crossed, and practice good, open, strong body language. And you will actually find that even just doing this one thing, even if you did nothing else on this list, you would actually see pretty major results. So for this tip, body language, super important. Habit number 8, reading. So guys, I would say that probably after the eating, sleeping, working out, the next thing that I found probably the most quickly, like within an hour, 2 hours of research, maybe less than that, is that all of these millionaires and billionaires and successful people, they're all reading. And when I say that they're reading, I'm not talking about, once in a while they pick up a book and that's cool and they enjoy it. I'm talking about they read an average of 50 books a year, and some of them read more. Mark Cuban is said that he reads 100 books a year. They say that Warren Buffett reads 8 hours a day, which is 80% of his waking time. And so this is a huge thing for them. And this one really struck me, right? Because I kind of started thinking, okay, so these people, again, who are way more busy than me, way more responsibility, way more demands on their time, are doing things way more significant than what I'm doing, especially a year and a half ago when I wasn't doing as well in life. And I figured, okay, so if they're all doing this, it means that what they see of the return on investment, what they're getting for their time that they're giving to read those 50 books is massive. And we're talking about a pretty significant amount of time, right? I mean, even if you're a super fast reader, which I'm not, by the way, they're still seeing that as very significant. And so what I started to do is I started to view reading the same way that I viewed eating, sleeping, and going to the gym, where I view this not as something that would be nice to do, that would be cool if I ever did it. I viewed it as, okay, I have to read 50 books a year or I'm not gonna be successful. And the reason I viewed it that way is because every single one of them was doing it. It wasn't just like some did it and it was an interesting observation. And so because they all did it, I felt that I had to also, or how could I say that I was serious about going after what I say that I am? And so I can tell you that in the past year and a half, I've read 75 books. It's massively, massively changed my life. I want to do a separate playlist just on books. I want to call it the library. But absolutely changed my life. Very, very powerful. They're all doing it. Super important habit. If we want the results we say we want, if we want to live in that state like we say we do, we have to read. Habit number 10, gratitude. This was another habit that they all had, all millionaires, all billionaires, all these successful people. And I think it wasn't only because I think it's the right thing to do to be grateful for what we have from a moral standpoint, but I think that it was because, and this is something Tony Robbins explains, that we can't really be grateful and depressed at the same time. It's just not really possible. It's just they don't go together. And so I think that by these people practicing gratitude of being so grateful to be alive, to have the things they had, to be living the lives that they're living, I think that really filled them up, and it was hard for them to feel a depression or a crappy state at the same time. So I would say for you guys, a lot of them put their gratitude into a morning routine. I studied a lot of morning routines, and so I put my gratitude there as well in my own routine. So I would say maybe look somewhere in your day, or maybe sometime in the morning where you can just give thanks for one or two or three things, and you actually might be surprised of what a giant difference that can make. All right, guys, so that's it for this episode. Those are 10 habits of all successful people. And we learned, right, that all these successful people, they all commit to living in this peak state of energy and vibrancy and focus and confidence because they know that they have to live there to get the results that they really want. And so we learned that there are these 10 things that they're all doing that are making a massive, massive difference. So I would recommend trying these out, guys. I mean, these are things that I wasn't doing a year and a half ago, and I started doing them and made massive changes for me. So I can tell you that following this template is very, very powerful. So I hope this has been helpful, guys. It's a pleasure hanging out with you, pleasure being here with you. Please subscribe if you haven't already, just so I know that these are adding value and to keep making more of the similar type of content. And I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Peace.